Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So what I'm going to be talking about today is really some key things that I think that are important for kicking off the new year, 2026. Now you could be, depending on when you're watching this, it really doesn't matter whether it's January or whenever you're starting. These are just some key things that I think that are important to getting a fresh start, regardless. Sometimes in the middle of the year. I'll just say, you know what? It's time for a fresh start. Let's get back to basics. So this is going to be talking about some very basic things that I think are going to be critical to your success. It's going to be a short video. If you need more information, contact me. We can have a discussion and we can talk about other things, more in-depth things that may be key to helping you with your career. But number one, here's one of the most important things that I think that if you look at any successful person who's ever been successful in anything in their life, is that they have clear and defined goals of what they want to get accomplished and a defined timeline in which they want to get those goals accomplished. Now, one big mistake that I see with not just new agents, but people in general. A lot of people don't know how to set goals. They'll set long-term goals. I want to make X amount of dollars in the next 12 months or in 3 years. But they really never break it down to like, what are those goals making you do daily? So I think long-term goals are important. However, I think they're slightly overrated. I think your most important goal is your daily goals. What are your goals making you do today? So I think it's real important to maybe start out with a long-term goal of, yeah, you know what, I want to make 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year. But if you're not reverse engineering those goals and breaking them down to, okay, what is that goal making me do today? Because at the end of the day, what you do daily is going to define your success. And I always like to say is what you do daily defines you. That's who you are. So if you're a low producer, you have low daily activity goals. So don't stretch those goals out too far in advance. The other thing that I see that uh, I can't tell you how many people don't do this, and it aggravates the heck out of me, is that they'll set goals, but then they'll never track their goals. You have to track your daily activity. This is so important. So many people are just, flying by the seat of their pants, if you will, but they're not tracking exactly what they're doing. If you have a goal for X amount of dollars and you want to write this much business in a month, now you break that down per week. Now you're going to break it down to what are your daily activity goals. You have to track those goals. I would recommend going old school and using some type of manual tracking system. Okay. Pen to paper. Every time you make a dial, every time you do a door knock, you're writing that down. Every time you have a conversation, track every little bit of your business. Because I think personally, when I don't track my numbers, I gotta be honest, it's very easy for me to fool myself to think that I was working. Because maybe I was doing something else. I was organizing or straightening up the office or whatever, but you're really not working. When I talk about track your numbers, I'm talking about your production numbers, your prospecting numbers, your contact numbers. You really need to analyze every piece of the business. Plus, that's going to be a good tool for you to evaluate where you need to improve. If you're making a lot of contacts, but those contacts aren't resulting into presentations, well, there's something maybe in your intro. If you're making a lot of presentations and you're not converting those into applications, well, there's something missing there. Okay, so make sure that you track your numbers. I recommend doing it manually. I call it low tech, big check. Tip number three is that Your mindset and your attitude is what's going to drive you. It's hard to be productive if you got a crappy mindset or an attitude. So how do you change that? Well, you can speak positive thoughts, associate with positive people. If you got negative people in your life, try to disconnect with those people. You can read books. Reading books is a good time, is a good way to increase your mindset and attitude. Listen to positive audio, attend conferences. But remember, when you're reading your books, that you're doing early in the morning or in the evening. You're not doing that when you're supposed to be working your business and prospecting. Okay. Last thing I'm going to cover with you, tip number 4 is probably pretty easy, is work hard. Okay. But along with working hard, it's got to be consistent. Okay. Consistent hard work is what will push you through. That's so important. I see a lot of people, they they'll work hard for a day or two and then they'll slack off. It's consistent hard work that's going to push you through. Yeah, you're going to want to work smart, but before you can work smart, you got to work hard. Because when you work hard, then you can figure out where you can make those improvements, those little carburetor adjustments that you need to make. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to work on. Okay. Obviously, your business, right? Your prospecting. You want to do whatever it takes to make 15 presentations every single week. If you're doing final expense sales, I'm just telling you that's the magic number. You get in 15 presentations every single week. You be committed to doing whatever it takes to get in 15 presentations. I promise you the success will come. It may not come immediately, you may not make a lot of sales, but if you're consistent and you keep working hard and you stay consistent, you're going to start converting more of those 15 presentations into applications. The other thing that you got to work on is you got to work on yourself. Work on yourself. Have a game plan to improve yourself. Self-improvement is key. Improving your mindset, your attitude, and then you got to work on your craft. If your craft is insurance, final expense insurance, get around your mentor, attend all the trainings, work on that script. You can't just read the script once and put it down. I'd recommend drilling every single day, 10, 15, 20 times a day, whatever it takes. You've got to master that script so you know it like the back of your hand. So when you're talking to the client, it doesn't sound scripted, you know? Working on your craft is about working on your tonality, your cadence, how you're talking to the client. There's a lot of little things that you can work on because sometimes, and I've seen this, I've seen good agents that know how to communicate can take a what I would consider to be a subpar script, but they're able to make it work because they've worked on their tonality. They've worked on their cadence, their voice inflection. They know how to draw clients in. And then I've seen agents take what I think is a great script, a script maybe that I've written, and it just sounds horrible, you know? So that's working on your craft. You got to be willing to put in the time to master. And to be honest, it doesn't happen overnight. Everyone's going to have a learning curve. It may be 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. I don't know what your learning curve is, but everyone has a learning curve, and you have to be willing to do the work to push through that. The last thing that I always try to work on is my relationships. You know, work hard, be consistent, have good relationships. It's sometimes it's if you have a crappy home life and home relationships, that's going to carry over into your business world. So work on those personal relationships, work on your spiritual life. I think that's super important as well. So these are just a couple of tips. There's a lot more that I could talk about, but I want to keep this video relatively short. So I appreciate you tuning in. Now, listen, if you want to get more information about our agency here with Senior Life, if you want to contact me, my name's Joe Johnson. If you need a good mentor, somebody that can help coach you, contact me. Let's have a discussion. Let's see if working with my team, working with Senior Life potentially could be a good fit for you. So what I'll do is in the description below, I'll leave a contact link that you can click on. You can shoot me a message. We can have a conversation and we can see where that leads to. All right, everybody, have a great day. God bless. Take care. Thank you.